Up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman. Superman did that. People come and go here all day long and tell me nothing.
What are you afraid of? What are you hiding?
Hiding?
Well, you give the impression you're leading a double life.
Happy Thanksgiving and hello from Hollywood. I'm Jack Larson, welcoming you to Channel 9's Superman Festival, a 50th anniversary tribute. I'm delighted to be a part of this 4-hour salute to Superman on his 50th anniversary. From 1951 through 1957, I appeared as Jimmy Olsen, the bumbling but ambitious cub reporter on the adventures of Superman, now seen every Saturday morning at 9. I have wonderful memories of that series. And today I'm pleased to be your host for 7 episodes that starred George Reeves as Clark Kent and Superman, Noel Neill, who portrayed Lois Lane starting in our 2nd season, John Hamilton as Perry White, and Robert Shane as Inspector Henderson. Back in 1938, writer Jerry Siegel and artist Joe Shuster created the Superman character, and the Man of Steel became an instant hit in comic books, a daily newspaper comic strip, a network radio show, 2 movie serials, 17 theatrical cartoons, our TV series, and the legend goes on and on. George Reeves first created the role of Superman in a 1951 feature entitled Superman and the Mole Men. It was such a big hit that DC Comics decided to begin producing 24 half-hour television shows. Later in that year, we began filming the series. Phyllis Coates was cast as Lois Lane for the 1st season, and the first episode, Superman on Earth, chronicled the story of how a young boy came to Earth from Krypton. He then developed his guide as Clark Kent and found a job on the Daily Planet in Metropolis. Our first episode is Panic in the Sky, which was filmed in 1953. It's a rather fascinating episode as Superman conquers amnesia after fighting off an asteroid that could prove damaging to the Earth. I hope you and your family will enjoy this Superman Festival, and I'll join you throughout the afternoon as the Superman Festival 50th Anniversary Tribute begins here on WWOR-TV, Channel 9. Welcome back to our Superman Festival, a 50th anniversary tribute here on Channel 9. I'm Jack Larson. It's my pleasure to be hosting these Superman episodes for you on this Thanksgiving Day. Our next film was also produced in 1953. It's entitled Semi-Private Eye. This was also my favorite episode. As Jimmy Olsen, I have a chance to play a private eye, imitate Humphrey Bogart, Casablanca, raincoat and all. I bungle my way through handcuffs, and needless to say, Superman has to get Jimmy Olsen out of another jam. Join us now for my favorite episode, Semi-Private Eye, next on Channel 9.
Most of the children or the young people that watched the series, of course, weren't even born in '48. But Kirk Allen and I did the characters Lois Lane and Superman in '48. We made 15 episodes of the real serial cliffhangers. Come back next week and see if he saved, Jimmy and Lois. And the series, or the serials, did very well in the theaters. So in 1950, we made another 15 with Kirk and myself.
I'm Jack Larson, and welcome back to our second hour of the Channel 9 Superman Festival, a 50th anniversary tribute. The third program in today's series was the last episode filmed in black and white in 1953. Around the World with Superman highlights the story of a young girl who has lost her vision, and Superman attempts to find a way to restore it, giving her an opportunity to fly around the world in a promotion stunt arranged by the Daily Planet and Superman. So please, settle back and enjoy Around the World with Superman here on Channel 9. In 1954, Superman went color. Now, although there were only a few thousand television sets in this country capable of receiving color, the producers had the foresight to film the next Superman episodes in color, and it certainly was a marked difference in the series. In 1954, we filmed 13 episodes. The first one was Through the Time Barrier. An eccentric inventor contrives a time machine in which he transports himself and 5 other people back 50,000 years to the caveman era, and making the trip with Professor Twiddle were Clark Kent, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, editor Perry White, and a big-time hoodlum named Turk. It's a fun episode, and I hope you'll enjoy it next on Channel 9.
George Reeves. George was one of the nicest Southern gentlemen, I think is the best way to explain George. Such a wonderful person. I had a little bit of trouble when I first joined the group in '53. And they were a family group when I joined them, and the director on the first show I did, I don't think liked me very well, and he didn't like the way I portrayed Lois. So we had almost a few little tears now and then, and George was very nicely said, may we just take a little rest? And he got the director aside and said, you know, give the kid a break, and it's tough breaking into a set family. So I appreciated that very much, and he was a wonderful, wonderful person to work with. He was an excellent actor, which most people didn't realize, and it was hard for him to portray, you know, this type of character, a comic character. And when he did his Superman flying scenes, no one was allowed on the set, and he said, you know, what's a grown man running around in his underwear?
Our Superman Festival on Channel 9 continues. Our next episode is a very entertaining program entitled Great Caesar's Ghost. And if you're a Superman buff, you will remember that every time Perry White, played by John Hamilton, got his dander up, he yelled, Great Caesar's Ghost. Well, in this episode, he faces an important gangster trial. He's suffering from exhaustion and confusion, and he takes some time off. While he's recovering, the chief begins to hear some unearthly voices, and he believes he has seen Julius Caesar's ghost. Coming up right next here on Channel.
This is 50th anniversary coming up of Superman's birthday. And I think it'll just go on forever, forever and ever. As Jack Larson said, I'll be Jimmy Olsen when they bury me. On my tombstone, he said, it's not all the wonderful writing I've done. They're going to say, here lies Jimmy Olsen. It's probably going to be the same with me. Lois Lane, lousy golfer.
Welcome back to our Superman Festival here on Channel 9. Our next episode was filmed in 1956. It's entitled The Deadly Rock, and Superman faces the one substance, kryptonite, which could kill him. This is the story of Gary Allen, a friend of Clark Kent's, returning to Metropolis after a near-fatal plane crash in Africa, a crash caused by a falling meteorite containing kryptonite. A scientist from the Dark Continent retrieves a fragment of this meteorite, taking it to America and selling it to a racketeer as a means of destroying Superman. Here is The Deadly Rock as our Superman Festival continues on Channel 9. In 1957, we were winding down production on our 6th season. Our next episode was the second to the last program in the series, entitled The Perils of Superman. This is packed with a great deal of excitement and suspense, which audiences have grown to love. Superman escapes destruction in a container of boiling acid, rescuing Perry White from a whirling buzzsaw and Lois Lane from a rushing locomotive, and Jimmy Olsen in a car that has been sabotaged. It was certainly a fun episode to film, and I hope you'll enjoy it. The Perils of Superman, next on Channel 9.
Well, the memories of our series. It was a lot of long hours, a lot of hard work, and when we finished, we would shoot 26 films in 13 weeks. And when we were through, everybody split and took up their own life, and we didn't see each other for another maybe about a year and a half. And they would call our agent and say, well, we've got enough money to make another 26, and Kellogg's going to sell them, and come back. I've enjoyed the last 2 or 3 years, and Jack and I have done a lot of little things together, and we enjoy each other's company, and as Jack said, we make a good act. We're always clutching hands out of camera, and he gets very nervous when he does anything. So we've enjoyed the companionship, and I think, yes, I'd do it again, only I would fight for residuals.
As we wrap up our Superman Festival, I'm happy that our show is back on the air in the New York area every Saturday morning at 9 on Channel 9. I'm only sorry that George Reeves is not with us today to witness our show's continuing popularity over the years. He was a dedicated and wonderful actor, and I think he'd be pleased and touched knowing all the enjoyment his portrayal of Superman has brought to millions of viewers since our last show was filmed 30 years ago this week. I know I am. Thanks for being with us. Happy Thanksgiving and good evening.
The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's Superman! Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Come with us now on a far journey that takes us millions of miles from the Earth, where many years ago the planet Krypton burned like a green star in the endless heavens. Here, civilization was far advanced. It had brought forth a race of supermen, men and women like ourselves, but advanced to the absolute peak of human perfection.
Gentlemen, I cannot stress enough the urgency of the task before us.
Give us facts.
Briefly, gentlemen, it is this. Soon the gravitational pull will be so strong that Krypton will be unable to withstand the strain.
Much as I dread uttering these fateful words, I have come to the conclusion that Krypton is about to be destroyed.
Jor-El worked incessantly to complete his tiny spaceship, though he knew only one of them could go in it.
If only one of us can be saved, it should be the child.
All right, get it. Wrap him in the blanket and bring him here.
And as Krypton and all its people perished, the infant son of Jor-El and Lara hurtled through the infinite reaches of space toward distant Earth.
Searching back in vivid memory, Sarah Kent tells young Clark the amazing story of how he came to Earth, of how a rocket streamed across the sky, almost deafening them, of how his father snatched him from the flames, of how, miraculously, neither he nor the curious blanket in which he was wrapped was scorched or burned. The boy listened, and he understood.
The Kents took the baby into their home, decided to raise him as their child, and gave him the name of Clark Kent. He developed rapidly, and it was soon clear that he was no ordinary infant. As he grew older, there was no doubt that Clark's mysterious origin had made him different from other children.
Your unique abilities make you a kind of Superman. Because of these great powers, you have a great responsibility.
I know what you're going to say, Dad. I must use my powers wisely and justly.
Fine staff I have. You get yourselves in all kinds of trouble, but I can't print that.
You mean the public isn't interested in what happens to reporters?
Nobody is except me.
Yes, this is Lois Lane, Demon Reporter. We're at the mine and there's been a disaster, all right. 10 men are trapped inside the lower shaft. They won't let anyone inside the police line.
Mr. White, who gave you permission to barge in here like a bull?
Just got a flash. There's a dirigible flying over the airport with a guy hanging from a rope.
For example, how did you leave here later than we did and beat us to the airport?
Is that all?
Not quite.
And here's the latest about the most glamorous figure that's ever flashed across the news horizon. Yes, you guessed it, Superman.
Now they'll all go to prison for a long, long time. Well, we surely owe our lives to Superman. All of us.
We certainly do, don't we, Clark?
Well, all I can say is if it weren't for Superman, I wouldn't be here.